The Ballad of Dusty Trails and the Lost Gold. The sun hung like a molten blade, slicing through the desolate plains and casting razor-sharp shadows across a landscape that seemed to breathe menace. A lone rider emerged from the heat-shimmering vale, his silhouette a jagged knife against the burning horizon. This was Dusty Trails, a name whispered with a mixture of reverence and fear in the darkest corners of frontier saloons. Buttercup, his palomino, moved with a nervous energy that spoke of unspoken dangers. The horse's ears twitched constantly, scanning the endless emptiness for threats that human eyes couldn't perceive. Something was hunting them. Something that didn't play by the usual rules of the wild. Salvation wasn't just a town. It was a predator waiting to devour the dreams of every wandering soul. The moment Dusty rode in, he felt eyes tracking his every move. Hungry eyes. Calculating eyes. The Golden Nugget Saloon reeked of desperation and broken promises. Whispers crawled between tables like venomous snakes. And then Jeb appeared, a specter more than a man, with eyes that held secrets darker than any canyon's depth. "The lost mine ain't just a story," Jeb muttered, his voice a rasp that seemed to scrape against Dusty's spine. "It's a hunger. A darkness that consumes." But Dusty had never been one to heed warnings. The mine called to him like a siren song, promising adventure, or maybe something far more sinister. The trail to the mine became a nightmare of shifting landscapes. Rocks that seemed to move when not directly observed. Shadows that stretched impossibly long. Buttercup's hooves echoed with an unnatural rhythm, each step feeling like a countdown to something inevitable. Abandoned campsites told brutal stories. Broken equipment. Dried blood. Fragments of maps torn as if by something with claws instead of human hands. These weren't just signs of failure, they were warnings written in terror. When Dusty finally discovered the mine, hidden behind a waterfall that roared like 1,000 tortured souls, he realized this was no ordinary treasure hunt. The entrance seemed to breathe, an inhuman, rhythmic expansion and contraction that suggested something alive waited within. The tunnels whispered. Not with words, but with promises and threats that slithered just beyond comprehension. Ancient timbers creaked with a weight far heavier than mere wood and stone. Something watched. Something waited. And then he saw the gold, a vein so pure it seemed to pulse with its own malevolent life. But something was wrong. The gold didn't just shine. It watched. "You shouldn't be here," a voice emerged from absolute darkness. Not Silas. Something else. Something older. The figure that materialized was neither man nor shadow, a guardian of something far more ancient than mere gold. Its eyes held centuries of brutal history, of souls consumed and dreams shattered. Dusty stood at a crossroads. Not just of direction, but of destiny. The gold beckoned. The darkness promised. And somewhere in the vast, merciless wilderness, something was coming. The legend was just beginning. The darkness pulsed. Breathed. Waited. Dusty's hand hovered near his revolver, but he knew, deep in the marrow of his bones, that no earthly weapon could challenge what lurked here. The Guardian's form shifted like smoke, never fully solidifying, its presence more a pressure than a physical entity. "You don't understand," the voice said, no longer coming from a single direction but surrounding Dusty completely. "This gold is a wound in the earth. A fracture between what is and what should never be." Buttercup's panicked whinny echoed through the tunnels, a sound of pure, primal terror. Something was happening outside. Something worse than what waited within the mine. The gold vein began to move. Not shimmer. Not reflect. Move. Like liquid metal with a purpose, it slithered across the rock face, forming patterns that hurt to look at directly. Ancient symbols. Forgotten languages. Promises of power that would drive lesser men to madness. "Choose," the Guardian said. "Take the gold and become part of something larger. Or walk away and preserve what remains of your humanity." But Dusty Trails was no ordinary man. He'd faced down bandits, survived impossible landscapes, and navigated the treacherous heart of the frontier. Whatever this was, whatever watched and waited, he would not be consumed. A thunderous crash from outside. The mine's timbers groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling like a funeral shroud. The Guardian's form flickered. Weakened. Something's coming, it whispered. No longer threatening. Almost afraid. Dusty made his choice. Not gold. Not surrender. Adventure. When he emerged from the mine, the landscape had changed. The waterfall was gone. The canyon reshaped. Buttercup stood exactly where he'd left her, but something was different in the horse's eyes. A knowledge. A secret. Salvation would never hear the true story of what happened in those canyons. Dusty trails would ensure that. Some legends are meant to remain unspoken. Some mysteries unresolved.